One, two. Good.
Always have good energy.
Hey y'all, welcome this our second episode of Talking Big Uglies. Today, man, we got a lot to discuss. Man, I got Coach Robert Jackson from Virginia Beach, uh, and Coach Rodney from Pikesville Youth Program, and we're gonna talk some O-line play and some other stuff. But we're gonna get right into it. I got Coach Bernard, who was supposed to be on last week, but he ran a little ill, but he's on right now. Hey, Coach Bernard, what's up, man? That's my brother. Coach is at the other school, Baltimore Polytechnic. How you doing,
What's up,
brother?
man? What's up? That was an honor to, be able to get this podcast kicked off, man. Been long overdue. So I'm glad that we able to come together, man, collaborate and get this thing going.
Yeah, man, I'm excited, and special thanks to Tone Drone Productions and Miss Denise, and for allowing the production and the directorial prowess in this whole thing, and I really appreciate them. And yeah, we just gonna get right to it today. I got Coach Robert Jackson and Coach Rodney on, but I want to talk to Coach Robert Jackson. But before I talk to them, I just want to mention the Keon Carpenter weekend, sponsored by For My Kids and Jarrell Rel Wilson. I think it starts July the 10th through the 12th, and it's a whole weekend affair. So Friday is the happy hour at Vessel on the Roost, or Vessel at the Roost. The Saturday event is the celebrity basketball game from 10 to 2 p.m. at St. Francis. And they got Sunday is the Sunday brunch at the iconic lodge. And we posted the flyer, and so we'll give you a minute to kind of view that. And if you would like to participate, just reach out to Coach Jarrell Wilson, in reference to the legendary Keon Carpenter and his weekend, because it's deserving. He was a great guy. I had the honor to coach with him and actually coach for him with Team Shutdown, and I coached FBU um, with him. I think it was back in 2015, but he's no longer with us now, and passed away a couple years ago. But he was a great guy. I really appreciated him for what he's done for me. So shout out to Keon. But now want to get into some football and talk to Coach Jackson, if he's still on, and ask him, because he's a legend there in Virginia Beach. Want to ask him how he got started, when he got started, and what's his take on coaching the offensive line play. Coach Jack.
Yeah. First, let me say it's a pleasure to be up here with you, said, and the other guests. I hope you can hear me. We're on a bus on our way back from a tournament right now. So,
Yeah, I can-
but yeah, I started back in the late '80s, right around 87, 88.
Mm-hmm.
And by chance, I just happened to be taking my little brother and my nephew to practice because I was on vacation from the shipyard, and my high school coach he was still the coach then, and he asked me what was I doing, and I said I'm on vacation, and then he said, "Why don't you come out here and help us?" And when I
Mm-hmm.
went out there, that light went off. I cut my teeth. I was the offensive line coach, assistant with the offensive line, and I had a lot of jobs prior to that. And once I went out there, that light went off, and it was like I finally found what I want to do. And having
Mm-hmm.
played offensive line, I just wanted to learn everything there was to know because about playing offensive or coaching offensive line, because that is what makes your team go. Both O line
Mm-hmm.
and line, but that offensive line, I don't care what you got up front. I mean, I don't care what you got skill wise. If you don't have those 5 guys at front that can move some people and get it done, then it's nothing pretty about it. But that they are the heart and soul of the team.
But I want to ask you, Coach, before I get into Coach Rodney, why is it so hard to find offensive line coaches? Like, why is it hard to find them guys? Because they like seem like, to me, the hardest coaches to find when you starting up a program, or even when you out a program, you get rid of one. It's kind of hard to find another one. So why is that? Like, what you think that is?
Because it's not pretty. It, you're dealing with coaching now. Coaches want to be in a position where they feel like what they do is social media worthy, and they don't think playing the offensive line or coaching the offensive line up is so that's not the pretty. That's not what they want to see on social media. And just like the kids, if they don't feel like their life is social media worthy, they don't want to do anything. It's so hard. You guys that offensive line, they want to throw it around and all. But the last offensive coordinators I've had, I told them, they'll get on the board and draw stuff up. I told them that I can't take you serious as an offensive coordinator if you can't talk line play, and you won't be around long if not as an OC if you can't discuss line play. And once I tell those guys that, they go out and they learn it, and so it's nothing pretty about it, and people want to do the pretty things now.
Coach Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, I, I don't. I gotta. I'm learning myself, Coach. I'm learning under Coach JJ. He was with Coach Thad, so I'm learning. I'm new at this. So, what advice would you have for me going into this new role, helping on the offensive line? What advice would you have? Did you hear me, Coach? You hear me say it?
Yeah, I can hear you. Well, we can go to Coach Rodney. We got Coach Rodney on, man. From I was Coach Rodney. Reminds me a lot of me when I was younger and boisterous and real tough. And so one day I made a comment to Coach Rodney about, do he think that I baby my kids, or I'm not coaching them to the what's going on today's game. And Coach Rodney told me, he said, you got to coach them just like you coach the high school kids. And I was like, you think so? And he was like, yeah, man. He said, man, these kids are smart as hell nowadays. So that kind of got me drawn to Coach Rodney some years ago, right? And since then I've been watching him coach, keep my head to the, and he's the only youth league coach that he told me, he said, I'm the head coach and I'm the offensive coordinator. I was like, damn. And he was the only one who told me that. So that kind of got me drawn to Coach Rodney. So Coach, hey Rob, give me like your philosophy on coaching youth ball, especially the O line, and what's your why? Like, what makes you do what you do?
All right. So, first of all, thanks for having me. I always say you give me too much credit. I don't even know why you called me on here. I'm just an old slap trying to get the snap right. You understand what I'm saying?
Get out
But
of here.
but my main thing has always been, I've only had one goal and one goal only. That's to create high-end high school prospects. Now, in terms of coaching the O-line, um, as Coach said before, it's not something that's pretty. Now, on top of that, it's not easy. Teaching somebody to say, okay, don't let somebody tackle you. That's not that hard. Run this angle, go tackle somebody. We telling people to play DB, play offensive line, to me, outside of quarterback is the toughest positions on the field because you're now having to do things that sort of aren't really natural to you and that are reactive to whatever you're dealing with in the grand scheme of things. So I
Right.
think the difficulty of it all, I think it highly intimidates a lot of people, and I think that's why you don't see good offensive line coaches on the youth level. And I'm gonna be honest, when I see, when I go do camps or whatever, and I see other teams play and things like that, you clearly don't have them on a high school level.
So let me ask you this, right? When you play a team and because nowadays, like these coaches, so when you play a team
Mhm.
and they not good up front or they don't have a reputable offensive line coach, what's your thought process going into that week? Be honest.
Well, I'm be honest with you, that ain't my job, man. I've been lucky enough to have a dude like Courtney Green on my side where I ain't ever had to worry about the other team offense in my life. Never, not once. I mean, I put my little input in it. I do the interior defensive lineman. Well, now on this younger group we got, I do the edge guys now of the D lineman. But outside of that, I'm blessed. I ain't never really had to worry too much about the defense. He tell me what he want me to do. Now,
Right.
when I see just that lack of coaching especially on the defensive line, linebacker play and things of that nature, you just start licking your chops because you know what you grade do. And especially when teams aren't seeing run schemes like GTGH, you running power at them and you're getting numbers and linebackers, you getting a hat on hat with linebackers, it make it tough for teams to deal with. And only thing that we've had issues with in that run game is either we ran into one really good group of coaches. That was the guys out Bowie at our 13U year. They threw a lot of stuff at us that it took us a second to get, and it was
Shout
hard
out
for
to
some of our
DT.
kids to pick up. No,
That's
no, that
DT
wasn't
in there.
DT. That was no, that was the older dude out there. I can't remember his name, man. He's an older
Mm.
guy out there. But him, and just when we had to deal with Anton Manning at 12U. Other than that, we ain't never really had no issue running the ball pretty much against too many teams ever. I mean, here and there and showcase games and things of that nature. But for the most part, it's tough for kids to deal with. I remember at 7U, we was a 75% outside zone team. The reason why is because kids did not know how to react to getting reached.
Mm.
And we would reach kids all day long, and we just run jet sweep, outside zone, simple, Tebow right with our running quarterback, running out that 18, and it was like taking candy from a baby because kids don't know how to react to higher level line play.
Yeah. Coach Bernard.
So you the head coach and the offensive coordinator.
Well, I consistently wrote the offenses for my team, so I would write pretty much
Mm-hmm.
every step for every play. I never call plays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, certain
Okay. So
situations, some 7-on-7 spring seasons, things like that, where we don't have the availability of everybody, stuff like that. Yeah, no, I call plays if I got to, but I was sort of needed to be a head coach. You know what I'm saying? But big thing, offensive line and quarterback play. Sound cut out. I don't have no sound. One, two. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Coach.
I can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I couldn't
still
hear
here.
Coach when he was talking.
Are you there, Bernard? Bernard, go out and come back in. Just have a little technical difficulties. We'll be back in. You back, said?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's back.
Yeah.
Jackson's here.
I can't hear Coach Bernard. I still can't. I can see his levels, but I can't hear him. But you can go ahead and say it.
Okay. So, Coach Jack, you back? Coach Jack, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So, talk about some of the guys that you've coached and some of the guys that you coached against, back at that Tidewater area in Virginia Beach.
Well, I've had the pleasure of coaching a few guys that have gone on to play, next level football. Uh, just to name some guys, Trayvon Hill, he went to Tech. Uh, I haven't had a whole lot of offensive linemen though that actually went Division One because we haven't had that. I really haven't had that body type. Um, Usually we wind up with the smaller guys who don't fit, that next level scheme. I mean, our bigger guys will either go, to the mid majors, Hampton and those places. But I was fortunate to, we've had some pretty good offensive line coaches around here, but none of those get the guys I coached. I'm going on 33, 34 years now coaching. And a lot of the guys I've coached against are no longer in the game. And, you find, when I watch film and so forth, that's the first thing we look at is line play and just how we match up with people and we try to put our best people. If we run into an offensive line that we don't feel is, technique sound, because when you think about playing coaching O-line, you have to get five individuals. That's five moving parts of your offense, and all of them. You got your tackles who do certain things, and your guards are expected to do certain things, and your center is expected. So, the offensive line coach basically has to be the smartest coach out there because he has to get five people to play together in order to make a scheme work. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a hard thing to do. And a lot of times people don't really look at it as making five people become one. You can have a good back, you can have one good back, you can have one good receiver, you can have one good quarterback, but you just can't have one good offensive lineman. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a tough thing to do. And when you talk about finding good coaches, they and I think that the biggest thing is coaches, not just in O line, but just coaches now, they don't want to learn their craft. When I was when I had to learn offensive line play, I had to go on the road and go to clinics and go to these places. Now everything is at a push of a button. You can YouTube anything, any drill you want. Now with coaching, but a
They
lot of
still
times they
don't
don't
do it.
take the time to do that.
Coach Bernard, are you on? Okay. Yeah.
His audio
You're
still out.
kind of
Yeah, we
muted.
still can't
But
hear his audio.
Rodney, what you was gonna say, Coach Rodney? You was about to chime in.
I said people still don't do it. I mean, it'd be a very select group of people that really want to take the time to do it. I watch youth coaches all the time say, "Oh man, this with the line, that with the line, this with the line." Even ask me. They say, "Hey man, can you come to practice? Help me with the line." No, I can't. That's not how any of this works. You think I'm gonna come to your practice one time and give you a magic pill? No, Slim. This shit took years.
Right.
Ain't no way. It's just not possible. It don't work like that. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of dedication. And I tell head coaches all the time, when they're having these issues, I say, yo, at the end of the day, everything fall on you. So you might as well be the one to go learn how to do it.
Right. Yeah. So when they ask me to do a clinic or come to them, they ask me if I can come coach their offensive line for one day. So I tell them all the time, I said, why don't I teach you,
Yeah,
right? So then you can teach them, right? Because then that's
all
more
day.
sustainable. I can't go and teach your kids one day because they're gonna forget everything I said as soon as I walk off the field. Mm-mm-mm. Coach Bernard, you back?
Hey, man, he might
Your
be muted
volume
and just
still.
don't know he muted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tell you, man, I've had maybe in about these 12 years of coaching, I maybe had one or two people really come to me and really say, yo, all right, so what is it that you're doing that make you successful? And I'm talking about we go through days and days of days. We'll sit on Zooms, all of that. You know what I'm saying? I'll go through because I got all my game tape. I videotape practice. I videotape training sessions. We go through all that. And
Mm,
before you know it, now it's clicking for him. Like
mm,
I sing his praises a lot on it. But my man Chris Fleet, man, I watch him sit down with me, get all the information he could, go on his own, start getting information on his own, coming back to me, giving me game that he didn't picked up. And before you know, what he do? He go win a 14U championship.
mm, mm. So, Coach Jack, what's your philosophy on coaching the offensive line, and what's your favorite run play, Coach Jack?
Well, my philosophy is, I like physical guys, and when we coach, when I coach any position, I always start off with this is a football, you know, and not assuming that they know anything. Um, as far as the offensive line go, I know one of the biggest problems. I know it probably is not now. The rec leagues are different, but we used to get bigger guys and we have unlimited misses. So if they didn't make certain weights, if they didn't make the weight, those bigger guys never really played football until they got to the high school. And that was
Mm,
always the issue. So you was expecting just because he was a big guy that he would be able to do certain things, but when in reality, it was the first time they ever played it. As far as my favorite run play, I'm a power guy. I've never been into the. I have a hard time anyway with the spread stuff. I always like to run the football, play good defense, and I'm an off tackle power guy. I love the
yeah, he breaking up.
coach himself down for. What that is.
Coach Rodney, what's your philosophy, and what's your favorite run play?
I'm trying to think. When you asked the question, I knew you was going to bring it to me next. I was like, do I really have a philosophy in my rain game? And I don't, man. It's just, I guess for me, it's just, man, yo, just play as hard as you can. Be dominant. I mean, that's what we got to do. That's what we have to be. Um, and I would say over the past couple of years, man, it's no run play for us. Or I know for my 13U team. Um, at our last couple years, no play hit like fake inside zone, well, fake mid zone, because we always called it, because I didn't know no better when I was young, so we was calling a mid zone inside zone, but like a fake mid zone and a quarterback GH. And I mean, when I say that play hit, For 12 and 13, that play probably hit for about 15 yards a carry.
Coach Jack, you still there? He gone. So we're gonna
No, he
get
said he
right
had.
into what
He just a little low.
Can you hear me?
There
yeah,
you
I can
go.
hear you. So we about to get into what we call Coach Bernard, you got anything?
We still can't
Still
hear
mute.
him for some.
So we're gonna get into what we call it the canary in the coal mine, right? And it's like the elephant in the room. So we're gonna get right into what we call canary in the coal mine. So I was talking to Coach Jack, who's on the phone now. It's like a mentor of mine, man. I've been knowing Coach Jack for maybe like 20 years now, and I love him to death. And I've learned so much by working at the camps with him over the years. And he's the winningest coach in Virginia Beach, and that's deservingly so because his knowledge for the game is just it's like out of this world, right? And he reminds me a lot of Coach Wren when I was coaching under him, and Coach Wren was definitely my mentor and also like father figure. But me and Coach Jack was talking about like coaches who coach, like we get these coaches right that they become private school coaches and then they start acting private school, if you know what I mean. And then it's like it's about them knowing more than what you know. So these are the type of coaches that throw you under the bus. And we like to call these coaches Oreo cookie coach, right? So I want to know, Coach Rodney, right? What in your mind you think makes these coaches change after a while? And why is it a transition to act differently when you coaching like the private school sector? Like what is it with that? Like why is it after a while, they started changing and all like what do you think that is?
Um, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have too much of a clue. I refuse to coach high school football. I don't think I'm ever going to coach high school football. I know after this group of kids I got right now, I got another group of babies that's already hatching. So it's like, but I mean, I guess in their minds, um, because it is looked at as the highest level of football in the Baltimore area, that they probably they probably smelling themselves a little bit, especially if they're able to win on that highest level. And I seen some that did well on the youth level, and then go to high schools and do well on the high school level. So I guess that plays a part in it. My thing is that if you got somebody that's working hard at being an offensive line coach, especially as a thankless position as it is, should nobody be looking crazy at nobody. And if you is, I mean, you got a real personal issue with yourself because I don't know, you looking for too much validation instead of looking to create opportunity where it might not exist.
God dang. So I mean, but already, coach, they listen, they already recruiting talent. So in your mind, what do you think they doing a whole bunch of coaching? And if you recruiting a whole bunch of talent and you don't have to coach as much as somebody who's coaching kids off the street and they might not be as talented as some of these guys you going around recruiting. I mean, so are they doing a whole bunch of coaching? And why are they throwing kids under the bus and coaches? They throwing coaches and
I,
kids under the bus.
I've watched some of the better high school teams. at least in the Baltimore area. And then you watch some of the better MIAA teams. The run game is more sophisticated in the MIAA. The only people that I've really seen run a really, 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 really solid run game that I was impressed with was this Linganore team. The way them boys ran power and the way them guards got around and got up on linebackers, it was a thing of beauty. It was to the point they ran power like 30 sometimes against Milford, and it wasn't a goddamn thing Milford could do about it.
Mm.
So I think when you go to the games and you just see the type of plays that they're running, I mean, sometimes some things is different. You go to some schools, and I'm talking about you go to the cities, you go look at some of the city schools that are, get the talent in the city, and then you see a lot of basic stuff.
So do you think a team like Linganore, are they getting highly recruited players to your knowledge, or you think they coaching what they have out there?
I don't know. I know, if I'm not mistaken, both of them guards had 3 stars. Now, did they build them up to get the 3 stars, or whatever they got? I mean, I could be wrong in that, but if I'm not mistaken, both of them guards had some stars and had offers and all of that. And I think some of the other offensive linemen was like on that same level. Now, is that what they developing? I mean, in my opinion, offensive line is a position where as though you're having to do things that are so like abnormal to athletic movements that there has to be a level of development in it. So when you start seeing offensive linemen going, it's because these kids is developed. It's the reason why every lineman that I had off of that 13 UPRG team, they got to high school and they started.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them. Whether it was defensive line, offensive line. I'm sorry, some of my defensive linemen did not start because they was 9th grade varsity players. So, but all of the offensive linemen, they got to high school, they started.
So your job basically was to prepare them kids for the high school level, right?
That was my only
So I know
job.
when I took,
Like I told,
wow.
like I
So I know
like
when
I
I
said
coach.
earlier. My only thought in the whole process was to create high school prospects. That was it. I ain't care about doing nothing else. We could lose every fucking game, but excuse my language. We could lose every game, but if we got high school prospects, and when those coaches come to practice and they come to games, they look at our team and they say, "We want all of these guys." I'm good.
Coach Jack, is Coach Jack still on?
I'm here.
Okay, Coach Jack, tell me. I mean, I don't know if you heard the question about when you said the other day about coaches transitioning. Why do you think that is, Coach?
Well, I think Coach said it. He used 2 words that one being validation. Nobody want, and the other being developing. Nobody wants to develop kids anymore. They want to, or they want you to develop them and try to treat your program like it's a farm system. And go out here, you develop them for me, and then I'll take over from here, and I'll take credit for getting them those things. I'm not sure about your area, but we run into that. We run into that a lot, where they actively recruit. It's like the high school portal around here. They kids will come in, and they don't deal with the behaviors when they're freshmen and sophomores, the immaturity and all that. And then when you get to a certain level, now all of a sudden they want to show all this love to them. But I think a lot of times you run into coaches who just it's not about the kid. I think the game is getting further and further away from the kid, and more the focus is being put on the coach. What the coach is doing and those kind of things. I want coaches. I try to associate myself with coaches that do things. Do the right things because it's the right thing to do, and they're not looking for a pat on the back. Or look at me, look what I did, look what I'm doing. I'm just that's just one thing because I get thrown at me a lot. I had to get rid of some coaches because they talk about it's the culture now, and that like you have to conform to what the culture is. No, you set the culture. You set what direction your program is going in. And when you talk about coaches throwing somebody under the bus, those kind of things, I try my best not to associate myself with those kind of people, or even know them. I don't even want to know those kind of people. You know.
Yeah, I think Coach said it best when he said setting the culture. I think that's the most important part. I mean, that's probably one thing about everything that I haven't touched on is culture because I'm a huge culture guy. I played football for 1 year of my life. So pretty much everything I learned about football was through coaching clinics and things like that. And that was the one thing that was repeated every time I sat down to listen to somebody talk or I opened up a YouTube video was the word culture and creating and setting the culture and the frame of mind and expectations for the team, for the kids, for coaches, for parents, for everybody. That was to me, that was like the standout thing that it seemed like everybody that had a level of success took part in and they harped on heavy was just building a strong culture and not letting that culture be jeopardized. And I was somebody that's always been quick to get rid of, tell a kid, this is optional. You can go around the corner. You got Randallstown, you got Owens Mills, Woodlawn. It's a lot of different places you can go. You don't have to be here, but this is going to be the expectation for you, your parent, your grandmother, your father, your cousin, for everybody involved, and even for myself. And us as coaches, we all held ourselves to a high standard. So who the hell are we to let you slide on your standards? Nah, we holler at you. I wish you the best.
Well, I know when I coach youth league, I used to tell the kids all the time. I said, man, when the recruiter come up here and recruit y'all guys from the high school, the local high schools, not one school asks you what the record was. They never said, yo,
Mhm.
what's the record? Like, what y'all 10-0 or 1-10? Like, what's the? They never said that. And I know that team I coached 14U a couple years ago. All of them just were seniors. You had like 6 of them that make all county. You got a couple of them that make first team all conference, their conference, whichever conference they was in. And they only won one game. And they thick as thieves out there in the Edgewood community, man. They love each other. So, now they was dominant out there. But that's all. But I just want to know, like, one more question, Coach Jack. I know you on the bus coming from 7-on-7 ballerina stuff, but I want to ask you,
Now, but
what's your
look, before you even go there, say it. I don't go to any camps where they don't entertain linemen. We got our linemen on the bus with the ballerinas.
Yeah, that's right. You did tell me that. You did tell me that. So,
We don't
so
go to
Coach
any
Jack,
camps where they don't do anything with linemen.
mm, so Coach Jack, you've been in the game 33 years and you're the winningest coach in Virginia Beach, right? What's your why to why you do what you do? And that's my last question to you, Coach. What's your why?
Well, you know, I didn't when I first got into this game. You know, being winning this coach in anything never even crossed my mind, and I never, I'm almost embarrassed when you say something like that on there because I try to stay humble and I try not to think about those kind of things. But my why is, I just enjoy working with kids. I just enjoy seeing a kid come to you as a little snot nosed freshman and watching them develop. And I think the one thing as coaches we got to understand, and what your mission should be, is that I'm preparing my kids for when it goes bad in life. All right, and notice I said when, not if it goes bad, when it goes bad. I'm trying to prepare them for those kind of things, whether it be they're fortunate enough to go on to the next level, or just going out here and being a good husband, a good citizen, a good father, preparing them for those kind of things. And I think, I've surrounded myself with, I hire a lot of guys that that have played for me. I think everybody on my staff has at one time played for me. And I do that because they understand the culture. They understand what my expectations are. They understand that I'm not going to change when it comes to those kind of things. But just watching kids develop and letting them go out here, and I've been coaching so long now. I'm coaching sons of people out in coach, and I'm trying to teach younger coaches now how to not just be coaches, but have longevity. And if there's something they want to do, how to have longevity and why stay around, or how I've been fortunate to be around 30 plus years. I've coached. I started off in rec league. I went to high school. I've coached college. Now I'm finishing up in high school. I think coming back to the high school was probably the best thing to happen to me. But just being out here building relationship with kids, being able to build relationship with people like yourself, that's my why. That's what keeps me going.
I'm gonna echo that same question to you, Coach Rodney. What's your why, and what makes you keep going, man? Because you do a hell of a job on the youth level, especially youth level offensive line. What's your why?
Um, to create value where it might not otherwise be there. Um, well, I'm sorry, I said value. I meant to say opportunity where it might not otherwise be present. To me, I think if we're not using this sport as a vehicle, like we shouldn't be doing it. This should be sort of like a means to an end for real, not like the end all be all. I think that I harp on the education piece real heavy. And again, is everybody gonna be able to make it there? No, but if we can be part of a few and help them get to that place where they getting free education or getting money off education or getting to go to a good school or being able to place themselves in a better position using the game of football as that vehicle. I just want to be the spark that turn that engine on. You understand what I'm saying? Um,
Right, yep.
and to me, that's been the biggest piece. That's why the main goal has always been to create high school prospects, because I simply just want to create opportunity where it might not have been.
Mm. Yeah, man. Woo. Look, man. I know we were supposed to be on yesterday. I had anxiety about the day, and but I'm glad I had you guys on, and I know we had some technical difficulties because every time somebody was calling my phone, I was dropping out of the thing. I'm like, God dang, I gotta
Do
learn how
not
to.
disturb, Ted. It's called do
Is,
not disturb.
is that what it is? That's what I'm gonna
Yes,
do,
do
man.
not disturb.
I'm, I'm old, man. But look,
Man, you
man,
can't do a
look,
podcast on your phone, man, and then you got you taking calls and stuff.
the calls are coming on the thing, man. I got to work with Coach Tone. Yeah. But look, man, I love you guys, man. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I know Coach Jack. I'm gonna see you next week for the Just
Yeah,
John's camp. So appreciate you guys for coming on, man, and we're gonna conclude this week of talking big uglies, man. I appreciate you guys, man.
I appreciate you for
appreciate
having me,
you, man.
said.
All right.
And although I hadn't met your guests, I just love listening to people and still learning. Still learning. I heard something that they don't like coaches.
Mhm. Say that again, Coach Jack. If you breaking up a little bit.
I said some things things tonight. I'm always trying to learn, and I heard some things tonight from your guests that hey, I'm gonna pass on to my coaches and try to make us better.
All right, Coach. I appreciate y'all, man, and again, man, love you guys for coming on, and I appreciate you.
Like you said, man, I always appreciate you, man. I'm telling you, you one of the folks that let me know that I was on the right path when I started on it. And I definitely appreciate that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, Coach
All right,
Bernard, you
brother.
got anything? I know you just coming on. You just getting back.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, man. I appreciate y'all coming on, man. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with these lines and stuff like this. Hopefully I can figure it out. But I did hear some of the stuff you said. What advice do you have for up and coming coaches? You hear me say it?
Yeah, I can hear
Said,
you. That's a question for me or
That's for one of them. The last young guy.
Rodney?
I tell you this, right? This one thing that I tell every offensive line coach, you will be good if you do this one thing. There is 6 hours of Jim McNally clinic footage, and it is Jim McNally offensive run game part 1, part 2, Jim McNally pass game part 1, part 2. It's about 6 hours. You watch that religiously, you'll be a good offensive line coach. And my line said,
Oh man. Oh man. He's one of the best,
I
man.
said, I'll send the videos. He can send them to you. And I mean, but honestly, that's that. Like, of course, that's a great way to go. But I mean, just you gotta learn. You gotta learn. You gotta study. It takes a lot. I mean, because again, most of these movements are not traditional to an athlete. You know, asking people to go backwards and stop themselves on one foot as they moving all their weight backwards in an explosive motion, things of that nature. You know, actually having to move people, learning how to use leverage. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because it ain't always a brute on brute game. Sometimes, man, I just need you to get in the way, Slim. We gonna skate
Coach
on
Jack.
around.
Coach
And
Jack.
I'll give it to you. I give it to you from a relationship standpoint. You know, you got to be a coach that one, you got to take pride in what you're doing, and you got to be able to show them, have them take pride in what they're doing, and make them feel like they're the most important thing on the field. And you got to treat them like that on and off the field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for your words,
And
coach.
I'm gonna say this, right? Because we don't have a spokesperson anymore. Because John Madden was like the spokesperson of the offensive line from a high echelon when it comes to like the NFL. We don't have that guy no more. We don't have that spokesperson. So these guys, they don't want to play offensive line no more. Like unless you make it a culture and they love it. Other than that, man, them kids, man, they don't want to play it.
Now, said, I hear that, but you will be surprised. So I'm gonna go do Ray's camp on Saturday. I remember one
Okay.
of the things was is like he used to always say, "No, we mix all the kids up, let all the kids do all the station stuff like that." I said we got to, especially when we got to the older kids. I said, Ray, tell all the linemen go to one side. You tell the skilled players to go to one side. Them kids gonna go where they belong. I mean, and
Mm,
when you structure things well and you don't BS the kids, and I think that's the problem with a lot of these dudes out here now at the younger level. They BS a kid into thinking that you can do this one thing or you can do this other thing. Like this one thing ain't that important. Shorty, this the most important thing on the field. And I
right.
think from what Coach Jack said, I totally agree. You have to make these kids feel fulfilled. You have to make
Mm,
these kids feel of high worth because at the end of the day, they don't. They gonna scream the running back name. They gonna scream the wide receiver name. They gonna scream the quarterback name. you got to be that guy there screaming their name.
That's true. Coach Jack.
Yeah, I make my quarterback when we in practice and it's hot. He better be the one squirting water in their mouth. And I always tell them, you better water your mules. You know, we had team meals. They eat first. You know, and I tell the quarterback, you and all them scared guys, you better be around here patting these dudes on the helmet and thanking them for what they do. Because just like any other position, if those linemen don't feel for you, they ain't gonna block for you. So you better show them some love.
Mm, mm, mm. All right, Coach Bernard, you got anything? We're gonna wrap it up.
That was good. I appreciate y'all. That was a good word right there. I appreciate that, coach.
No problem. No problem. Anytime.
No
All
problem.
right, Jack. I see you later. Rodney, appreciate you, man. Love you again, guys, and
All
and
right.
we'll have you back on soon. So that's gonna wrap it up for this
All right,
week with
Sted.
talking in Big Uglies, man. Second
All right.
episode, working on third episode next Wednesday, and again, man, thanks a lot, guys.
Hey, make
Nah,
sure
thank you,
y'all done
Pat.
called y'all parents and had them out here.